It's funny that we spend weeks and weeks agonizing over the draft and it's literally gone in like 3 days. And with all the selections made, I'm going to give you my grade for the 2026 Denver Broncos draft. Let's see that title page. What is up, and welcome to another episode of Keep Your Eye on the Ball, your YouTube channel dedicated to all things Denver Bronco football. For this episode, we're going to be talking 2026 NFL Draft. We're going to be talking rookies and specifically who we think is going to have the most impact from this year's draft class, who may need a redshirt season, and who may be a sleeper that you didn't see coming. I'm going to stay away from who I think is going to be the best rookie or the worst rookie or anything like that. That just takes way too many factors into consideration, and we just don't have time for that. Plus, it's a little hard to kind of predict the future. Yes, I know I am very smart when it comes to that. However, I can't see into the future. So with that being said, let's move into who I think will be the most impactful and productive rookie going into this coming season. And as far as impactful rookie, I think it's going to be either one of the first two selections. It's going to be Jonah Coleman or it's going to be Tyler Onyedem. So as I went back and forth in my mind, who I think is going to figure in the most, who's going to get the most playing time, I was really torn on who to pick. I'm still not 100% sure. But I think don't kill the messenger. I think I'm going to go Jonah Coleman. And the reason I gave it to Coleman was this deciding factor, and that is availability. We all know Jonah Coleman was brought in if and when J.K. Dobbins gets hurt. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that he kind of runs and has a similar running style as J.K. Dobbins. So I think Coleman is going to figure into the rotation sooner rather than later. As far as Onyedem goes, I do think that he is going to be a backup at all three spots. But especially with rookie defensive linemen, that learning curve is pretty steep. We saw with Savion Jones last season that he did take that redshirt year in order to get his feet wet in the system. I kind of think that Onyedem could be in a similar situation, so that's why I give it to Coleman. Moving right along, we're going to talk about what rookie may need a redshirt season. And by redshirt season, for some of our viewers who are not as football lingo as we are, redshirt basically means they're going to need to take a year to kind of get their body ready, pick up on a system in order for them to be contributors next season. Now, for me, it was either between Dallin Bentley, the tight end from Utah, or it was Cage Casey, the offensive lineman from Boise State. In this instance, I decided to go Casey from Boise State for this reason. Again, the same thing with defensive linemen rings true for offensive linemen, and sometimes these guys need a year in order to get their bodies ready for the interior line play of an NFL season. Casey does project as a swing tackle, and the reason that I think he's going to get a redshirt year is because Palczewski played very well at the end of last season, subbing in for Ben Powers. Ben Powers may or may not be on the trading block because of how much money is still owed to him on his contract. So here's what I think. I think Powers is allowed to walk in the offseason, and then I think Palczewski is moved into his spot. Casey then becomes your swing tackle, taking over for Palczewski, who is now the starter. And finally, and sometimes I think the most fun, who I think has the potential to be the sleeper of this draft. And my pick for the sleeper of the 2026 draft is Mr. Irrelevant, Red Murdoch. First of all, let's start off with this. Murdoch has a very cool football name. Red Murdoch just kind of sounds like it should be a linebacker. Am I right? But the reason that I call him a sleeper is because this guy had a ton of production at Buffalo and was a consensus second team all AP pick last season. The only thing really holding him back was didn't really test well at the combine. Now, if you're of one sect of scouting, you want that to line up with what you see on the field. I, on the other hand, focus more on film than whatever you put at the combine. I don't think you can totally disregard the combine, but I don't think you can put as much stock in it, especially when it comes to players like Murdoch. Go on YouTube, watch some highlights. I promise you, this guy he reminds me a little bit of Brandon Marshall. go on YouTube, check out some of his highlights, and tell me if I'm wrong. So I'll just give some final thoughts to wrap up the episode. I know that we agonize over the draft and we want the Broncos to draft specific players at specific positions. So what I will say is that it was kind of refreshing to see the team identify inside linebacker, running back, and tight end as positions where they thought they could get better, and then actually picked players to fill those spots. Now, you can't get contributors at every position in just one draft, but I do think for tight end with Justin Joly, and with the tight end from Utah, and with running back with Jonah Coleman, I think those are two spots that can help immediately this season. And I think you have to commend the Broncos for really holding their ground, getting an extra pick for trading back into the third round, and for just being patient and for drafting by what they saw on their board and their evaluations. I think if you take the history where you've seen the draft go for the Broncos in the last 5 years under the Paytons, I think it's hard to argue with the results. But as we come to the end of the show, I want you to tell me what you think, and let's chop it up in the comments, talk some pigskin. As always, thank you so much for subscribing, your likes, all that. It means the world to me and Kev. And as always, keep your eye on the ball, and we'll talk to you next time.